what's up everyone? So in this video, we're going to be going over 3 gold buys. We have those 3 trades here. These are my exact stop loss, entry, and take profits. So you can see here that all of my targets were 36.50, and then these are my stop losses. But first things first, we want to do a top-down analysis to see how I got my buys. So let's go ahead and start that. So usually I start off on the weekly. We're going to zoom in here. Usually I start off in the weekly, but for this specific example, for these trades, so I'm going to go on to the monthly. On the monthly, we have this candle right here that engulfed this monthly candle, closed above this wick, so that's good. This candle's in control. So at this moment in time, when this candle closed here, that was telling me we're going to go make all-time highs on gold. That was my first confluence. Now we skip. Now that's all I'm looking at in this time frame. Now we go down to the weekly. Here we see this weekly low right here. Now we're gonna focus on this weekly low because this candle is really bullish and we're heading to this high. And right now I'm gonna mention the structure high as to where we're heading. But first I want to focus on this. This could leave a wick anywhere below here, but we don't want to see the candle engulf below here, because then, you know, at this moment in time, this could have been the higher high right here, like this whole thing could have been the higher high, and we could retrace over here down to these levels. But you know, the monthly and the weekly are in my favor. And on top of that, when I scout, so this candle, remember this candle, bullish candle in control. Now we're going to go down to the daily, and you can see my 2 structures that I have here. So I have my daily structure here, and then I have my internal structure, which is a 4-hour structure. So you can see that we were going down, and then we have a break of structure here on the 4-hour. We form equal lows here, but we do touch my demand. Now when these equal lows are formed, I did think that it had a potential to sweep with this momentum coming down. So at this moment in time right here, I thought we can sweep below here, and then that could have been the fuel to go above here. You know, usually gold does have a lot of liquidity grabs, you know, but right after this candle right here, that was a lot of momentum telling me, okay, maybe it's not going to go down here. So as a trader, you have to be ready to adapt. And right here, this is a good example of being able to adapt right here. So right here, look, we have a bullish candle in control. We have an internal break of structure here, a structure shift internally here. Now, this push right here that's coming down right here, this is a dead giveaway after this candle right here. This right here confirms that we're starting to go up to this high. And then just looking at these daily candles and how they're going up, that was telling me we're heading to these 4-hour high here. Now, on the way to that high, look at the candles that we had. We had big bullish candles with lots of momentum. And keep in mind, this is on the daily time frame. So right here, as soon as we had this daily candle that engulfed, I was like, oh, okay, we're most likely going to go this week to all-time high. So my first target is 3,600. My second target is 3,650. So those are my targets, psychological numbers. You know, with that being said, this is a confluence along with the monthly and weekly. Now, notice that those bigger time frames are aligning with my smaller time frame buys. Now we're going to zoom into the time frames where I start to enter and execute my plan. So here, we're going to go down to the 1 hour. So here, look, we have structure high, low, high. Price taps into my demand. I get an entry here, stop loss below the low. Now I enter and I go into profit. So this is my first trade right here. So notice that internally we have structure forming here, higher high, higher low, higher high. You know, now this is a internal demand here, but price came down really bearish, and it looked like a break of structure at first, and then you have to wait for confirmation that this could be a liquidity graph. Ended up getting that confirmation. But before I got the confirmation, I have to finish talking about this trade. Is I got out here because I was going to get broken even. So I was like, okay, I'll secure 0.5%. So that's this first trade. Secured half percent there, and that's great and all. So now next trade, I see what? So look, we look at the daily. This is how I was able to catch these next 2 trades that give me 6% gain. I was targeting one of fives up here to the 3650 mark, but I ended up getting up out here to the once it hit the internal higher high, which we'll go over right now. So I'm gonna put the naked chart that way you can see. So you see this candle right here, really bullish, bullish engulfing candle in control. That's the first sign. The second sign is how the daily closed. So watch, you can see right here with this candle right here. So I entered here when the wick was over here, and I was noticing that the daily might close with a big wick, and it did. So notice that price swept the previous daily low, and I have that marked off right here. Price swept that previous daily low, and that once this candle closed, that was telling me that there was more buyers than sellers in this area, telling me we're probably going to continue going up. Okay, so then now we're going to go look at the other two trades. So now here, after the sweep and price starts to go above this candle, I'm going to zoom in. I get an entry here. I put my stop loss below the liquidity sweep. Now that's where I target up here to my 3650 mark, and I knew I'm up all night, so I manually manages and I'm ready to get out at any point in time. Market was closed right here at Friday. I closed out somewhere around this candle here. I was like, I'll just take my profits. I do think we're still going to go up to this area, which I will mention in my weekly outlook video. We'll see if we catch that trade this week. But yes, that's where I entered here. And then the second entry is just looking at the internal structure here. We have higher high, higher low, higher high. All of this internally is noise. Now we have a continuation entry here, stop loss below the structure. And now look, people are selling here because someone's viewing this as a break of structure, as a shift in structure, because it's no longer making higher highs and higher lows. We make a lower low, so someone's trying to sell here to make a lower high. But that's not the case. When you look at that daily confluence, we see what? This candle is in control, and we had a sweep with a big wick showing me we're probably going to go up higher high to make a higher high. Now we go back to the smaller time frames, and now it's just a matter of time before we got that momentum. And look, we had a resistance here with these wicks. After that, I was expecting maybe some more selling pressure for someone was going to sell here in this what might look like an internal supply. So this is the dumb smart money. The way I trade is smart money concepts. So supply and demand, pretty much. Someone's going to sell based off here, but when you know the true bias of the market flow, then you're going to know which way to trade. So that's how I caught these trades. Then I manually closed out over here. So let's go ahead and check this. So these are my exact entries and stops. So I'm going to unlock this. So I always lock it to make sure it doesn't move. Got out like around there. Yeah, so I got out with about one or two risk reward on both of these. 2.5, a 2.67, and then 2.2. I got out, and I'm looking for more buys this week, which I will go over that. But that's everything for this video. If you liked what you saw, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.